Hi, this is Belinda from Belinda Lee Briggs Web Design, and I'm going to walk you through your welcome email automation, as well as walking you through how to create a campaign that shares a blog post. So, we are going to hop down here to automations. And we have this welcome email. It's paused right now. I just want to walk you through the design of it, and then I'm actually going to get it started. So this automation kicks off after somebody subscribes to your mailing list, and it happens when they subscribe to this mailing list, which I'm going to pop that space out of there that doesn't belong. The timing is immediately, so they should get the email immediately after they sign up. Although they may, I think if it's a poorly ranked or poorly rated email, they may send a confirmation out to the email just to confirm that it's a real person. The sender profile will indicate that it's coming from Anne, and so far it hasn't been sent at all because we just upgraded to the plan that allows automation. Now if you scroll down here, eventually you'll be able to see some stats around your email. And so this looks just like the Squarespace analytics that you're used to. And it gives you kind of just a bird's eye view into the trends that are there. So let us go ahead and edit. And we're not going to activate just yet. And note that if you decide that you want to play with the welcome email, but you do not want to disrupt the email that's being sent out until you've made the change, you can actually click on any email template and just say reuse the template. So it's not really a template. You're reusing an email you've already been sending as the basis for a new email. So we are going to say edit campaign. And then I'm just going to walk you through a little bit of it. So, your old campaign in Mailchimp, if you remember, this is what it looked like with our links and our buttons that we had brought in, and then we had manually added a box text and some links over to your blog posts that you were suggesting for people. And so I created us a similar email. Here are, and then also important in your automations in Mailchimp, if you remember that you had to name your email and create a subject and provide some feedback text and your from name. So there's some of that, they're capturing all that information, but they're not capturing it all in the same places. So you may have to poke around a little bit more to find things in campaigns on Squarespace because it is a little different of a setup than Mailchimp, but you're essentially going to have the same types of information. So in here you can set the subject, and you can also set the trigger and the email list. I think it's also, there is no space. I don't know why that space was showing over there, but you can change the timing and the list here. We're going to leave these. We have one list. A kind of a cool thing is that you can do some mail merge, so you could say hi, and if they provided a subscriber name, you could throw that in there, which is kind of fun. But we don't actually pull in subscriber names when people are requesting your guides. We are just asking them to provide their email address. So it doesn't really make sense for us to put that connection in here to pull in a name because we're not asking for a name. We're trying to make it really friction-free and just ask them for an email. So here's your sender profile, unverified domain, maybe marked as spam. I'm not sure why it's unverified, but we can look at adding steps to do that. So there's your Anne. You have to have your legal address on there. And again, it's giving us the ability to activate the automation or to send a test. And so sending a test is a great idea at this stage. But first, let's walk through the email. So we're setting the background color and the color of kind of the email body parts. And, you know, we're just using core colors from, actually, I don't know where these colors came from, but these three colors are core colors from your brand, and then including black. And obviously this is transparent, having no color. If you did that, this block would be this purple instead of the white that's there. So we're using the Modern Sans font pack. They have moved toward this font pack type of setup in 7.1, and I think that the marketing campaigns is set up very similarly. And so you can only select it, you cannot modify it, whereas on 7.1 you can customize this. But I felt like this font setup reflected your brand the most and really kind of reflected the shapes of the letters in your logo, kind of that nice clean look that you're going for. And then you can also set up the base font size and then the scaling. What this does is this says these fonts are set to be multiples off the base font, and it's kind of a best practice for keeping things feeling unified. And so what happens then is if you set this font size, your paragraph setting really small, then your H1 will also be really small. So notice that when I highlight over the H1, you have an H1 and it gives you the different paragraph elements. When I come in here to just the regular paragraph style, you see this paragraph mark, which I found very confusing. And from there, you can choose the H1, H2. I wish they had just used a P so that it was consistent, but here we are. So just a little tip in there. So if you were going to, let's say, use a really small base font size, which I would not recommend, it's really small, it does affect, ooh, I don't want that to be bold. I think I'm going to make that be a heading too. Okay, there we go. And I think I'm going to remove some of the spacing. Oh my gosh. Padding between sections. Oh, that's already really low. Okay, well, we're not going to fret over it too much. So, what we're going to do, so anyway, when this happens, you can see it affects all the other sizes when we're making that adjustment. So I had oh, and then the other thing is, just because this is really small, you can still change the relationship of how fast this grows. And so we could still have a really small font with a really big header, or we could have them to be really close in size, which to me doesn't provide enough visual differentiation between what's a heading and what is text. So let's get that base font size up. That feels a little too big. I like the middle one. And then I want the heading to really look like a heading. So there we go. Oof, now that one's so big. Check out these favorite posts. And I did a shift enter there, and that stacks it nicely together and makes it so it doesn't put a huge space between these. It doesn't see them as separate paragraphs. Okay, so once you get your main colors set up and you have set your link color to the link color that you use through most of your sites, it's just a drag and drop, just like Squarespace designing. You can add text, line, blog. The one thing that does bother me a little bit is the button. The button is in its own section, and I don't think that's very different from how from Mailchimp setup, but there you go. And so to change the button text, you actually just click in here and type right in there. But to change the link, you're going to come over here. So again, quite a bit similar to, oh, and we can actually connect directly. Helpful Guides download page. Okay. And so there are lots of settings. You can change the padding for the section, which you'll notice the top is set to really small because we don't want the button way away from the text it goes with. We want some continuity there. And then you can see this little purple, it's really a transparent, well actually I guess it's not transparent, this little purple section, which is the same color as the background. I've added those in there just to visually break up the little sections. So you can see here, you have to actually highlight the text in order to get the formatting bar to appear. And again, you do have that really cool ability to add people's names in, but again, because we don't use, we're not requesting that information because we don't want it to deter people from subscribing. We're not really making good use of those, but that's okay. All right, so this section is a blog section, which you just click this blog section, and what it does is lets you add blog posts. So we have two, and I really liked this kind of card style. You could add a third one if you wanted to do that. So how you do that, and how you make any changes on any of these, is you say manage, you say add blog post, and then it may take some time to load those older blog posts. See, right, the last one it came up was 2019, but now you can see the bar popped up further and it loaded more. So just be patient. So you just select a new one by clicking on it and then clicking the select button. And then Squarespace actually does the alternating on its own. What Squarespace did, it also adds the read more and it adds the excerpts. And you can actually make adjustments to what gets shared. But the one thing when it automatically adds them that I didn't like was that the title didn't really stand out. And so you can click right in, even though it pulls in the excerpt for you. If you don't like this, you can just come in and type whatever you want. Not on the button. Oh, and you can even change the button. Okay, so what I did was I wanted to make it stand out a little bit more. So all I did was I selected the bold formatting. You don't have the ability to change the formatting. And if you look at it, it looks like it's heading free, which is great. I also feel like that space is so much between them. Doesn't that space look too big? I feel like it's too big. There we go. Let's get rid of that. Okay, so I think that looks great. So the other things you can do when you're in here are you can click manage and you can change the order by dragging and dropping. I'm going to get rid of this one for now. And you can decide what you want shown. And you can also change the button style. Say you want the outline. Now, if you are going to choose the outline, obviously you need to come back in here and change the button setup. I kind of like that. Little ghost buttons so they're not standing out too much. So that's kind of fun. Okay. So just remember you have to be clicked in here on the newsletter and have the blue outline showing in order for the elements for you to modify to show up in this admin panel. So there are a lot of other options. You could change the layout if you like, and I will tell you that I did not like the side-by-side layout because it squinched the text up really small. So I really liked this card. The card was great. And we are going to use a different setup when we're just sharing one blog post, and I will show that to you. Okay, and then the last thing is, we talked about this yesterday, was getting people to share their insights on what you might write about. It's always great to have customer inspiration to write about it. You know they're going to like it because they asked for it. And so I just added this kind of note in here, encouraging them to reply to the email. The one thing that bummed me out a little bit is I thought I could have bold and italics at the same time. And it doesn't, I don't know. It doesn't really stand out against the background. I feel like there's a readability issue. So we're going to stick with that. And also notice that I was able to change the section color. And I was also able to then corresponding change the text color so that we were able to get that contrast. So really easy to make those changes in here. And then of course, if you were having a link in here, you probably would not want it to be that dark color because you wouldn't be able to see it. So probably set the link just to the light color. Okay. Okay. So that's it. And then again, you can set padding on each section. So this is kind of nice. So to make my life easy, I just duplicated these little purple sections. That way I made sure that they were all the right height and the right color. And then I dragged them around in that manner. So if you add another section, you would just duplicate this little purple sliver. Okay, and that is really it. So these elements in the footer link to your, I don't know why that's checked off. Okay, they link to your accounts that are already set up in social settings, so that's great. You don't need to do anything to set those back up again. And then you can branding. You could add your logo. That's kind of fun. I like that. And let's see. And then there are a bunch of different styles you can choose from. I liked the centered look. This is kind of fun too. So you can come in here and play around with the footer layout, but know that this footer layout won't change. Let's go back to center. Nope. We want the action right up top there. Anyway, changing it on this template won't change it across all of your other templates. Okay, so we're feeling good. This looks great. So the last thing that we want to do, well, we want to send a test, of course. So let's do that. Let's do okay, I'm going to just take a peek. Okay, and this is what came to my inbox. I think that looks great. But you can let me know what you think. Okay. And then it will, if you're sending out a test and someone responds, it will go directly back to you, which is great. That's same as in Mailchimp. Okay, so now we're just going to activate this automation and get it going. Beautiful. Okay, oh, and the one thing I did not show you, oh, they're going to pause the automation while we edit. That's fine. The one thing I didn't show you is that you do have the ability to kind of do a mobile preview, but my preference is always just send it to yourself so you can really be sure what it looks like. Okay, so let us activate this guy again. Great. So your automation is done, and I, at this stage, am going to actually stop and create a separate video for you where I'm going to talk about just creating regular emails.